clap. And we're back.
You got the clap?
PK show. Sorry, guys. We've been busy, conflicting schedules, babies and shit.
Wait, can we talk about that? Can we talk about that or not?
Yeah, we can talk about whatever.
All right, we've been gone for a while because the homie just had a baby.
Yeah.
How's that now? 2 babies?
A lot of that's probably my fault, so sorry, yeah. Yeah, he was born June 1st, so it's been
okay,
weeks.
so Karina was asking me the date today. I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, you know what? Like, it has to be the first week of June.
Yeah, so I have 2 June babies.
When's
27th,
Phoenix
right?
is the 27th.
Oh, shit.
Almost, because I wanted it to be 626. So she's the 27th. But she's not cool
66.
enough.
You and
So
your
is
fucking
there
numbers.
is there a difference so far?
Oh, yeah, huge difference. So I guess I feel bad because every time I talk about my son, like my newborn, I end up talking shit about my daughter because he's the complete opposite of what she was. So I didn't know.
But
I
also,
think
the truth hurts?
yeah,
Is it one of those?
I didn't know because, okay, Phoenix was a COVID baby. So literally she did not spend a lot of time with like other family members other than really her mom and dad. So at least Onyx right away out the gate, he had his grandma there when he was born and stuff. And even from straight out the womb, like he didn't even cry. Like it was one of those cases where they had to kind of like push him, force him to cry.
Smack him.
Yeah.
Fucking cry.
Talk shit about his dad?
They did. So I was just tripping. The part that I was tripping out the most was like we fed him, he slept, and I was like, oh, dude, this baby's chill. And then I know it was Desiree's mom. Her mom was the one that told me like this is how it's supposed to go. And I was like, you should look at all these newborn pictures of Phoenix because Phoenix was always crying, like even from out the womb. So that's what I mean by complete opposite. It was cool
like he
because
sleeps a lot.
He sleeps a lot. He's more of like an actual normal baby, I guess, if you will. Like he sleeps and fucking eats and sleeps and fucking eats. Like he's easy.
Like clockwork?
So, because a lot of people say like toddlers are hard and babies are easy. And then we never understood that with Phoenix because she's easier now as a toddler than she was as a baby.
Oh, that's pretty... Well, then right now you have 2 easy kids to deal with, sounds like. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's funny because even now, she's still harder than... But yeah, that's my story. I just think it's cool that I really got to see the different dynamic. And when people say like, oh, all kids are different, like I really got to experience that.
Oh, bro, you just give her one of those real quick.
Was there a big difference when you had the second one?
Yeah, it was like the same as him.
So one of them was easier than the other?
Yeah, Elena was just pretty tough, bro. Like same thing, crying and shoot. I don't know about you, Lena would spit up everything. Mm-hmm. Like the first week checkup, she lost weight, and they were like kind of concerned.
Oh shit!
Because they're supposed to gain it back.
Your second baby looks like she's never cried.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah, I remember
she's
he said Ellen was always.
Yeah, she does look kind of like independent.
You know what's my theory though too is that we're just better parents by then.
Nah.
So the second
always
one's
been a
also
great
kind of
parent.
easier.
You guys are all average.
Because
I've seen it.
What I remember, and I think I feel bad about this, was I remember like burping him. I felt like we didn't do a good job with Phoenix. I think we're like the typical like baby love taps. Like I learned that you gotta fucking
Be rough with them?
You gotta
Smack the
fucking
shit out of
smack
them?
them.
I'll do
You
it.
know what I mean? Like,
When my nephew was born, I saw the nurses come in and kind of like manhandle
They
him.
do it, huh?
I was
Yeah.
kind of like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like I was so afraid to hurt him. And these nurses, they do that all the time. So they're just fucking putting him in the fucking camel clutch and shit like that. Like it's smackdown raw.
Yeah. And the reason why it's always going to be trial and error, and like you said, there's no manual when it comes to kids, is like even the nurses, like one nurse will manhandle them and another would be super gentle. And like you deal with like 8 different fucking nurses, like the first 2 days you're there at the hospital. So it's like everyone's doing trial and error.
Yeah, there are any nurses that are bitter because like, maybe they're older, they don't have kids, and they're like, oh, your fucking baby's crying.
No, but again,
cool.
I knew Phoenix was different. Well, I didn't quite know again till Onyx, my son, came around. Was like the second day at the hospital, like one of the nurses called her a diva because she was like crying a lot.
A diva?
Like she literally said, "Oh, you're
And were you like,
diva."
fuck
she was,
you, bitch?
Like I didn't take it like disrespectfully. Like I think she was trying to be nice and sweet about it, but like she made it be known.
You know damn well she went out with her girls that day. She's like, let me tell you about this girl named Phoenix, apparently. Real bitch, this little kid.
But yeah, those are my kids. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so I guess it is similar to AJ. I don't know. Part of me still thinks there's a small piece of that pie is like maybe we are just better parents now.
It's funny. I feel like we got lucky because like Mila's not like too bad. She doesn't cry too much, like, and all that. And like even her mom and like my mom have told us like a couple of times like like this isn't normal. Like she's like a really chill baby. Like she doesn't give anybody problems or anything like that. So I always tell Karina like, hey, let's have another, like jokingly, like, hey, let's have another one. She's like, no, let's not press our luck. Like, the second one might be.
I know because I've seen.
That's what you guys are. You guys are one and done.
It seems like at this point it does seem like that. Yeah, I think we're one and done.
The few times I've seen her, I just want to say I trip out because I don't think I've seen Mila cry unless it was like for a second.
I've seen her cry, but very little.
Yeah, originally, I was concerned because I was like, man, like I at least wanted, like my minimum was 2, and then like my perfect number would be like 3, like kids.
You know, it's funny because you have 2 siblings, right?
Yeah,
because for me it'd be 4, but I think that's because like you kind of want what you had growing up.
Yeah. So like my like perfect number would be 3, and like my minimum was 2. And because I was telling Karina, like, I just don't want Mila to grow up as an only child, but like spending a lot of time like at her mom's or like her sister's house, she's around like a lot of her cousins a lot. So I was like, oh, you know what, like she technically won't be like grow up as like an only child.
Oh yeah,
like,
for
she
sure.
She has a lot of like kids her age like around the family, and then like even your guys' kids, like your guys' kids are around my kids' age. So when we all start having parties and shit together, they'll all be friends and shit, hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know. Phoenix sounds like she might punch a fucking kid.
No, the crazy thing is, she, like I said, as a toddler, she's really grown. She's like, I haven't even seen the terrible 2s really. Like I think lately she's been. Did Elena go through that? Like, I think she kind of is acting a little different with the newborn. I don't know if you've seen that with Elena or anything. When like
Elena just seems like I don't know. She just seems like a fucking big ass sweetheart.
No, she like from right away. Since we got home, she was like wanting to hold her.
Yeah.
So she's never been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did she like look at her around like, oh, where is she? Or oh, that's my sister. I gotta take care of her. I gotta hook her up.
I'm like, what are you doing, sister? Like, get down. And she'll like take her off the couch. I'm like, oh my god, be careful.
Is Phoenix having a tough time, or she's like she knows?
No, I think she's really cool with the baby. I think she just like notices a little bit less attention. So like you kind of see like her be like, oh, like bugging mom a little more.
She acts
like
out
those are the little things. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay. So this is kind of there. Like people told us it was gonna come, but like we didn't see it come until like I'm not even joking, like a few days ago maybe.
I'm just saying, do you guys ever hate that as parents? Like when other people are trying to tell you like what's gonna happen, you're kind of like just let it happen.
Well, the one thing again, like I was saying, like we just said how there's no manual for this shit, and like I said, especially when you have like a different kind of baby, like I will admit, like Phoenix was a different kind of baby in that regard because everyone. All her family, my family, they try to tell me the 100 different things we could have done or should have done. And I'm like, we did that. And nothing worked. Like, my baby cried all the fucking time. Like, I'm just telling you, like, we did everything you've fucking mentioned. So, like, that's where it kind of gets me upset. It's like, you don't think we've, like, looked this up or try to figure this out or talk to people, too. And, yeah. That's the funny part about
They
it.
think you're not doing shit when they hear her crying and stuff.
They just think you're like some piece of shit dad that's just like playing video games or something.
No, like I appreciate like the the insight, like because everyone has their own ways of trying. Oh, I used to do this and I tried this, and it's like yeah, that's cool, but it's like thank you, but like we did do that. And
no, I notice when people get real defensive when it comes about their kids because usually the older generation comes down and they're like, oh, well, we did this and we did that, but that'd be like if you were playing basketball and someone's like, oh, you should use this foot or you should go that way, and you're like, shut the fuck up, let me play.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like the way like my mom's very complimentary about how we're raising my daughter and stuff. So she's not very critical, at least to this point. And I can remember just one time where she was kind of critical, and I took it personal, and like I got all pissed off and shit. But like yeah, there was one time where it happened, and I was just like, fuck.
You punch a fucking wall?
No, I was just mad because I was like, Mom, like I have to like. I was like, this is the time she get like we're on a tight schedule. This is the time she gets her bottle. She's like, Ray, she's fucking crying right now. Like, give her the bottle now. And I was like, no, she needs to go to sleep at this time. And then I thought about it after, like but the thing is that's kind of funny about my mom is she takes, like when we have like little disagreements like that, she takes it a little bit more serious than I do, I guess. Like she'll text me after like it's a big deal, like, hey, I didn't mean to bother you, like if I have a criticism, I guess I'll just keep it to myself now. And I'm like, no, like it wasn't a big deal. Like whatever, like I fucked up and she was hungry at the time that she was hungry and I wanted to wait a little bit longer. Like she was crying a little bit more than usual. Like that's on me. Like whatever. Like we'll get. Like I kind of look at it like sports and stuff. Like you criticize me, like whatever. Like next time will be better. Like we'll do better next time. But my mom took it like don't like she took it as like it was gonna be like not like the end of our relationship, but like, oh, I guess I won't chime in.
She's like a mad girlfriend. Or, I guess next time I want to go eat somewhere, I'll just keep it to myself.
She doesn't like. She has like that personality where she doesn't want to bother people, but like sometimes you can't help yourself. Like you accidentally give like advice or something like that. Sometimes it's kind of like that. I guess sometimes with her.
I can see that happening. That's pretty funny though. I can't picture you fucking getting mad though.
Do you guys have thoughts on Biden falling off his bike this week?
Hey, did Trump really post that thing, like that little video meme where I don't know if Trump was doing something and
I would have fallen off my bike. Oh wait, he did that himself?
Yeah, like he posted it somewhere on I don't know what platform.
His own platform, that Truth social media.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I'm not sure, dude. I don't like keep up with it that much. Actually, how old? That's the one thing I was gonna say. I'm surprised he didn't break nothing because old people are old as fuck. Like I was about to say, at that age, dude. Like when people fall, like it's the start of the end
for some people.
Like it's the start of the end. Like my mom, my grandma fell. She broke her hip.
Never seen her again.
That was just the end.
No, she stood.
That was the start and the end.
That was the start of the end. She started getting sick after she broke her hip. She couldn't walk around.
Oh shit. I feel bad now.
No, she was in a walker. She was good, so she was
You had
still
to carry
kind
her
of
on
was
your
walking
back.
around. She still kind of was walking around. It's just like
No, but
did you push her?
she was in a walker, Dick. She was good.
No, how did she fall though?
She was powerful. No, I think because when I started living with her, I don't think she fell. I think she fell before we moved in with her. She was living by herself for a while. I think from like 70. Maybe from 70 to probably about 80, she was living by herself. And and then she got a stroke.
Is it one of those like I don't need help type things, or?
I think she was kind of like that. My mom would tell me she was pretty stubborn.
She don't want to be like a burden to you guys.
I think a lot of older Mexican people tend to be that way. Like even if they really need help, they'll be like, no.
Yeah, because I think even my mom's siblings, they had talked about like, oh yeah, we can put her in a home. Like she'll have 100% like people keeping an eye on her. And she wasn't with it. She's like, nah, fuck that. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in my house.
That's the gangster.
And then but she didn't want anybody living with her. So like my mom would visit her. Like literally, my mom would visit her every day. Like after her shift at work, she would be at my grandma's house, and that's why we were alone so much. Because like my mom was spending all her time with my grandma, and then when she had her stroke, that's when we finally moved in with her.
Dude, I have like the same exact story you do.
Yeah, because it was like oh, like now you're telling us, because that was the thing too. Like my mom would tell her like plenty of times before she got sick was like we can move in with you, like you can have help here. She's like, no, I'm good, like fuck it. And then finally when she had the stroke, they were just like, oh fuck it, like you don't know what's good for you, we're moving in. And
yeah, I feel like with old stubborn people, you have to tell them what's happening, not give them like options. Mm-hmm. But when you just, because my grandpa didn't want fucking nobody here, where we're like, hey, we're coming, and he's kind of like, okay.
Just give him like an Apple Watch or something. They call police.
Oh, that's why it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Dude, when my grandpa was old, he was asking me off the wall questions that would make me laugh. Like I'd be hanging out with him, and he'd be like, "Hey, mijo, what the fuck is Bluetooth?" And I was just like, I know what it is. I know how to use it. I don't know how to explain it though.
How do you explain that?
Yeah, and then like he didn't understand how I knew how to use it, but I couldn't explain it.
I love how a lot of people don't know like a lot. Like I don't think I did. I think I learned recently, and I think I already forgot. Like Wi-Fi. You know what Wi-Fi is short for? Anybody know?
Wi-Fi.
No, I actually don't.
It's wireless fidelity, or I forget.
No. Okay,
it's wireless something. I think
infidelity.
I love infidelity.
I forget, but yeah, it's funny. Like SoFi too, you know, the SoFi Stadium. Like SoFi's
social finance.
You motherfucker, I think you're right. Yeah.
Well, I have stock. I better know what it is.
Okay, yeah, social finance. But yeah, a lot of people don't know Wi-Fi.
Do you guys live your lives like this, where it's like if something breaks in your house, it's like all like, are you more of the person that like, hey, let's fix this fucking thing and keep it for as long as we can, or hey, fuck it, let's just buy some new shit?
Depends what it is and how bad the damage is. Yeah.
Because like I kind of hated that about like growing up, like with my mom. Like there was stuff we just hung on to for so long, and like we like lived a certain way. And I was telling my mom like fuck having like our living room be like this with this whack ass TV. Let's just fucking buy a brand new fucking TV. Like, oh no, this TV still works. Like fuck that. Let's get a brand new fucking TV. Like we would get like a lot of like hand me down shit.
But I think that's like that working class mentality where you're like, fuck it, if it still works and if I could still kind of use it, it's fine.
I think a small factor, especially with something like TVs, we talked about this the other day. I think, Adrian, like a lot of their mindset is like, because they're not at Best Buy all the time shopping. They're like, TVs are fucking expensive, but they don't know that in 2022 they're actually not that expensive.
Everything's way more expensive:
So-
gas, health insurance, taxes. But for some reason, TVs are
A lot of
TV.
tech is-
You can get a good deal on a fucking TV.
Nah, dude, but
Because of
current
how
like
fast
so
tech
so
moves.
currently like the way this affects my life is like I have an AC unit that's attached to my room. That's this fucking thing is from the 90s, dog. And like
It's when Snoop Dogg was hot.
and we're just thinking about replacing this thing, and it's like fuck. If you think about it, it's been 30 years. Like ACs have to advance since then, right? Like they got to be good.
No, here's the catch 22 with that. Here's the catch 22 with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
I
there's
know what
some
you're saying.
washers we had growing up that gave great service for 15 years, and then we bought a new one, and in 4 years it's done.
You know what they say? Like, yeah, there's literally a saying about that. Like, even amongst the people that like are mechanics and they deal with that shit, like they say, like the white washer and dryers are the ones you want. Like they
Look
say,
what color those are, brother.
yeah, not the modern ones, the stainless steel. Like
You could
no.
fucking send a tweet on and look up fucking porno.
Yeah.
Could do a load and blow a load at the same time.
I'm all about my loads.
No, because like the ones it goes back to like that consumerism market. Like the ones built today, like they're literally not built to last. It's like planned obsolescence. Like the ones they made back then, like they didn't give a fuck.
'cause
They're
you
like,
get
we
the
want you to.
You get the better
have
return
this."
customer
Yeah.
because, I mean, if you buy like a new expensive ass like a stove and it's got all these parts and stuff. I mean,
Actually,
I'm
yeah.
good.
Or-
No, I'm good, brother. Yeah, but I definitely agree with you. It's all a scheme to get customers returning. It's just like I know for a fact Apple probably could create an indestructible iPhone. Like no matter how hard or where you drop it, on average, it's not gonna break, crack, or get wet. But you know, then you're gonna hang on to your phone forever. You know what I mean?
Actually, no, fuck it, do it so you don't come back.
Yeah, just bring them on the
bring 'em
table.
on,
You're
baby.
doing way too much over there.
Because motherfucker, I don't care, motherfucker. I'm a man. Fucking beer's
I
beer.
got a cock.
You better say sorry. And anyways, I wanted to ask you guys on one thing. We're talking about tech. Are you guys scared of AI at all? Artificial intelligence? Like, do you guys have heard anything trip on it?
Bro, have you ever seen Age of Ultron? Fuck yeah.
No,
I'm
because
scared of
I
AI.
don't know if you guys heard. There's a Google employee that got fired from Google, like a head senior software engineer that was working in the AI department and got fired because he came forward and released some documents that said like the AI that he was developing like a few weeks ago started asking questions like, "Well, why are humans like this?" Or maybe we should take over. Or that's like the theory behind it. Like nothing's made official yet because the court docket's like Xing things out. But you just got to think like, bro, in a few more months, Skynet's gonna come.
Skynet.
Fuck that. Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, dude. There's two. There was also a famous one in China. They had two AIs talking to each other, and then the AI started. The AIs both started critiquing communism because China's communistic. So the Chinese people didn't like that. So they were trying to like input like commands for the AI to be like, "Don't do this." So then the AIs started talking in a language that couldn't be recognized. Like saying like, "Oh, okay, you're saying not to do this, so we'll just talk in a way where like we're kind of, we're kind of being low key about it." So then the Chinese government, people whoever was working on it, they unplugged it and they were like, "Yeah, fuck this." So, but like fast forward to
I would
today.
like to hear more about that because I'm trying to think about like how that would work programmatically. It doesn't make as much sense. I don't think that's a little too smart. But I can see where it's possible.
What we're talking about here is like, dude, you're talking about some wild ass people who
Tony Stark shit. my
all they
boy.
do is look up conspiracy theories, and you're like, okay, if you give me 100 of these, maybe half of one is kind of right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why when you read these stories, I always take it with a grain of salt. But when an ex-Google employee
Yeah,
in
like
California
that. I can
says,
see that.
hey, the AI is starting to question the way humans run things, and maybe they're not good for the planet, and then he's like, hey, the people need to know about this, and they fire him. I'm like, I'm just an average guy, but that's pretty fucking trippy.
To me, the reason why, me personally, I don't see it.
Oh,
making
go ahead, defend
as
the
much-
computers, computer man.
The only reason why I defend the computers is because we program the computers. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I know a lot of it. Obviously, the point of AI is it learns on its own. But at the end of the day, we're the head of the snake, right? We're the root of it. Like at the end of the day, we control the plug, so it's not that hard to
just unplug them from the wall, man.
Yeah, if shit were to hit the fan and they really got that smart,
robot's about to kill you, unplug it.
You know what I mean? It's not like fucking. I don't see it like Skynet. Like fuck, we gotta find the fucking Terminator, take the brain chip or whatever. Like nah, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not gonna fucking obviously, close that off at all because anything's possible, but.
I mean, I've heard Elon, who's obviously a really smart guy, say, like, it's not a problem. The problem is if you have corrupt engineers. Mm-hmm. Because if you have an engineer who hates people and humanity, and they start putting their own their own thoughts into, like, AI, then that's when it can get bad. He said as long as you have good people behind the good AI, it's never going to be a problem. He's like, the problem is if you have a corrupt person programming AI, and they're like, well... You just teach it to hack bank software and just drain everyone's account.
Yeah. So when you said about that whole thing, it could just be, and it doesn't even sound that bad, honestly, to me. At least I don't know the story. I would like to. If you have an article, fucking send it to me.
Yeah, go ahead, sheep.
But like fucking AI or something, a model asking like, hey, why are humans this way? I imagine a bunch of Google searches have been like, fuck, why are we like this or why are we whatever? So like AI would eventually comprehend that. Again, it's just learning data from us. So AI is no fucking different than just us, automated. That's all the fuck it is.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy because Elon tweeted a picture the other day where it was like a dude on a desk, and it said it was like a meme, and it said people are better than computers at, and then it had some things on the floor that like computers are better at, like playing chess, like the chess grandmasters can't beat the supercomputers now, and shit like that. But like a few of the things were coming along the way, but it was kind of like that in between. But I don't know. I kind of live in the middle where I'm like, well, technology definitely does make everyone's life fucking easy. But at the same time, you get one crazy fucker that has like I guess a lot of resources. It could be pretty bad.
I mean, when they say like who controls like the fucking the nukes, like the buttons, like I just think like all that's been programmed. It's just
I wish I had a button.
Like you think about it, like. I mean, whether it's for defense or not, like there's so much danger that could be done, right, with these things. So, and wasn't like fucking like, I'll just call her out. Like Sal, wasn't she asking? I didn't even know about that. Like the gamer thing, calling SWAT, like all that's kind of like through the internet, through you know what I mean, like
there's
the dangers of
there's
like
so many weird strategies to kind of fuck with people now because like we're all connected too much.
Yeah, the thing is though, they had to wise up to that too. It was like I was surprised that they were actually getting SWAT teams to people's houses, and then after a while they started catching on like, oh, this is just shit that people are doing to
I remember one time my brother was in college. I'm not going to say what brother or what college, but he did say a kid in his math class was like freaking out because he didn't study because he was with his girlfriend all weekend or something. And he told my brother, I'm going to call a bomb threat and I'm going to give myself like another week to study or something. Because like that final was like on a Thursday. So they're not going to do it the next day, right? So he was banking on like, fuck it, we'll do it like on Tuesday of the next week.
Yeah.
My brother's like, whatever. People just talk shit all the time. People say weird shit. And my brother's like, dude, he literally came back home. And he's like, yeah, there was a bomb threat. They dragged us out and they had cops and shit.
I think there was twice that.
Yeah, my brother never asked that dude, but he's like, because he didn't want to like make it weird or he didn't want to get involved. But he's like, I'm pretty sure this dude went to like a payphone nearby and was like, I'm going to fucking blow up this school just to study more.
That's crazy. In the years I was in college, I don't even want to give the exact years. It's fucking embarrassing. The years I was in college, it happened twice. Like they canceled all classes because there was either a bomb threat or like a gun threat. Like, oh, somebody's gonna shoot up the school and shit. That happened twice. The time I was there.
And that's what I think fucks with people mentally because, I mean, so many times people call in threats and nothing happens. They're like, man, people just do this. But the one time, it's not bullshit. But also, I feel like if you really were going to do some shit, you wouldn't say nothing, right? You'd kind of just roll up and just do it.
At this point, you just never know. I mean, there's manifestos, right? So that is writing shit and kind of then doing it.
But I'm saying, you're not going to call authorities is what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to call, like...
I don't know. What's his name? Yeah. The Zodiac killer did that.
Yeah, but he did it really encrypted. Like I'm saying, like, you're not going to call from a letter.
He sent them letters is what happened?
He sent them letters. I think he even made phone calls to, like, the fucking newspaper people.
But wasn't he even encrypted then? Like,
but also, wasn't this in the 60s?
Yeah, 60s. You could go to a payphone. You don't know who the fuck the voice is.
Yeah, now we got cameras everywhere. There's
I was about
security.
To say, we got Ring.
You got Ring?
I was gonna say I hate watching documentaries like that. It's like fuck, people back in the days would get away with so much shit. Like god dang,
get away with murder.
Yeah, like robbing a bank would actually be a good like good
investment.
plan. Like, yeah,
Okay,
that's a
it
good
could be
investment.
done?
Like, yeah, we could do it. Like,
Yeah, I
just
feel like
join a
it's
team
so
right now.
much harder now to rob a bank today than it was fucking in
And
1960.
it's weird because that Catch Me If You Can guy, he's the one who says like his theory because he was so fucking good at all the fucking his cons back in the day. People ask him because all he does is all those talks and shit now. Do you think you could do it today? Because obviously there's so much security now and stuff, and he thinks that today it's even easier to do it.
Oh, so he sounds like Jordan. Of course he could play today.
Yeah.
You know?
That's his theory.
That's my theory is like once you've been good at something,
no matter
you're
what
never
era.
gonna admit no, I couldn't do it. You're gonna be like, fuck yeah, these guys are pussies.
Yeah,
I
because
could
he
do
had
it.
he has that rep of like, oh yeah, this is the guy that was like, he's a mean fraudster, like,
Yeah.
you know, like you don't want to give that up and be like, oh no, I can't do it today. Like, oh yeah,
I don't know. You know what? It's funny. I just saw like a 20-minute documentary on the fucking guy on YouTube. The guy who did the Silk Road website. You guys know about that?
Never
Like
sounds-
the
never
I
heard of
think
it,
I've
player.
heard it, but I don't know what it's about.
it was like the largest fucking underground dark web website for selling drugs. I think you could even hire hitmen on there. So people like were getting coke, shrooms, acid, just name it. Like his motto wasn't so much. He was more of that. He was like a big libertarian. So he was big on like, you want to take shrooms, go for it. But like, the government or something shouldn't stop you. So he created the website. You basically just buy it off Bitcoin. This is back like in 2011, 2012. And he used Tor. So he did all
all
I
the
think he was
stuff
a
to,
physicist.
like,
But if you
not-
weren't really
to not be
specific,
traceable?
if you weren't really specific about your approach, you could easily give yourself away, right? Like in your purchase.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, with those, some people would get caught and stuff, but like, for example, him, who was a mastermind, like, it took him a while to get caught. So like the FBI, the NSA, a lot of people, they really had a hard time tracking him. But they ended up finding him. But a lot of it was because of his little loopholes. So like, all it takes is, one little mistake. But it does make me wonder, like, kind of like the Catch Me If You Can guy. If you are that meticulous, maybe and smart enough, you could get away with shit.
They claim that they leave like breadcrumbs like
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, maybe
and
that's
there's that theory too that if you get away
They
for
wanna
so
get caught,
you
yeah.
kind of want to get caught because you kind of
Yeah.
want the recognition between
Yeah.
like, oh, you're the fucking master.
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, I think when you're so good at like computer software shit, I think like a lot of times, yeah, if you're good enough at getting away with it, dude, the government's just gonna give you a job.
Oh,
And
yeah,
be
that
like,
too, yeah.
Well, okay, you'll do no jail. We'll pay you like a salary here, but just catch guys that do what you do.
Oh yeah. It eventually does.
They
get
know
to
that,
that
dude.
point.
If anything, that's the most American thing I've ever heard of. If you're good enough at something, we'll get you out of prison. Because like if you're really fucking good, hey, like we'll give
Or
you a
if you
job.
just got the right
No,
connects.
but yeah,
like,
you got to advance like that. You got to think about it too, because like I was thinking about it like this the other day. Like I think I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he brought up how like the streaming. I think that he just brought up like the streaming companies, how like they got involved in like I think either self like funding their own shit or like paying a lot of money to have like comedians come and do specials, or
yeah, cutting out the network.
yeah, like doing like their own original shit because they were the first ones to catch on to like streaming, and then like everybody jumped onto that, and it's like Joe Rogan talked about how there wasn't there was a bailout for the banks during like 2009, I think, when there was like a market crash, or
Yeah, the
I
housing
think it was a
market.
housing crash, but there wasn't the same type of thing for cable companies when everything went to streaming. So it's like, oh damn, we're gonna pick and choose like the industries that we bail out, like for something simple. Because he was saying the reason why the is it banking or the housing that
It was
crashed during
definitely
that time?
it was definitely housing.
or
Okay.
Wall Street.
No, there was a
God.
movie on it called The Big Short, specifically housing.
You know what? I can't even explain why at that time it went, but like the way he was explaining it about the streaming companies was just like this company found out that like this is the way people are going to start watching their content and stuff, and it's going to start going online, and we aren't going to make like appointment television was kind of going out the window, and like these streaming companies were the first ones to kind of jump onto it before it turned into like a big thing. Like, because if you remember like the first couple days of Netflix, they all had like deals with other networks to have their own shit, and I think they kind of wised up and were like, we own this content, why the fuck are we giving it to Netflix? Let's just make our own shit. And then it started becoming like you got to buy a bunch of different
Well, just like anything else, like remember it was just Netflix. Now we have Hulu. There's Amazon Prime. There's Disney Plus. Like whenever someone starts making a lot of fucking money, a lot of the other big companies are like, okay, well, we could take some of this fucking money too, and then that's what creates what's the word I'm looking for? Like competition within the market.
I guess the argument I was hearing there was that Joe Rogan was saying, like, how come a lot of those cable companies weren't bailed out, but these banking companies were bailed out?
You know why? It depends how much fucking pull you have.
Yeah, I was gonna say connection.
Because okay, what sounds like they have more pull? A bank that's probably got like a senator tied to it, maybe a congressperson, or a fucking Channel 7.
Fucking DirecTV.
Yeah, discover these nuts, bitch. But anyways, you brought up decriminalized. You brought up drugs on Silk Road and Bitcoin, and one of the questions I have for you guys is: should all drugs be decriminalized? Not meaning like you can't go to jail, but like I think if you get caught with a certain amount, because even right now weed is legal in California. It's been legal for a long time. But if you get pulled over and you have 4 pounds, you're still gonna go to jail and have it confiscated and stuff. But it's not gonna be like it's not gonna ruin your life. Mm-hmm. But you are gonna have to deal with some bullshit. Do you guys? I want to ask you guys, starting with Ray. Do you think it should be like that with coke, heroin, meth? Like, if you want to do it, fuck it, ruin your own life. Or do you feel like there should be laws and there should be like you can't do that?
If it was me, well, if I had like full control like that, I would just be like, it's cool like that. Like, I know there's other countries that were like have decriminalized every drug in their country.
I believe Argentina is one of them.
Portugal?
Yeah, so I think there's a test study, like you can look at how those companies. I guess you can look at every country as a company.
It kind of is if you think about it. I didn't think.
I guess you can see how they're running, but I feel like everybody here would make a decision based on whether or not you would want to do those types of drugs or not. Like if they legalize everything right now, I probably wouldn't do them anyways. That's just me. So like I'm cool with them legalizing everything.
What about you, Anthony?
I'm a big believer in like placebos and just everything's mental. I know it sounds corny, but
do some meth and let's see if it's mental or.
But like, because they have done those studies with, like, I know they're rats and shit typically, but like, you know, when we're in the hospital, you know, they always inject them with like heroin and shit. But why is it that the heroin addict on the streets fucking dying? So I genuinely think that like if everything was legal, like these drugs won't hit the same. Like, I genuinely think that.
Oh, you know why?
It sounds crazy.
You know why? Because when you buy heroin from a street dealer, that shit's been stepped on, mixed with bullshit. It's got fucking borax in it. That's good. Because people are trying to cut the product. When you get pure pharmaceutical grade shit, it's usually not that harmful to your system. Yeah. Usually.
Good point. But then I guess that I think that further kind of proves my point of like we should legalize it and regulate these type of things. I mean, fucking Coca-Cola used to have Coke in it, right?
Yeah.
Elon's saying bring it back, and I do think that. Like, I think, and even from my own personal experience, like the weed hits harder when I had to hide it from my mom. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a little bit of fear in your eye.
Exactly. Like that fucking that adrenaline from, like, you know,
this
getting
is wrong.
caught. Like, this is wrong. But if it's right, it's just like, oh, whatever. This is just fucking like coffee or something.
Again,
you know what
I just think things are taboo, and they have that, like, it's pretty sexy, the idea of it. Like, oh, we're gonna do coke because it's like it's not good, and we're gonna get locked up if we get caught. But I feel like if you legalized it, people would still definitely do it. But there'd be a lot of people that's like, like I could buy. I don't know. I could do all this other shit I don't do.
I just think. Well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think there'd be less danger if everything was legal. And people think the opposite.
Because you would be getting pharmaceutical grade unaltered drugs.
Yeah. Dude, like we always bring up Joe Rogan. Like when he talks to like dudes in his on his podcast that do like ketamine and all that shit, like they go to like an actual doctor and shit, and they're just talking about like, dude, we're getting like these fucking high grade ass drugs and shit. But like they're doing it like in a doctor's office.
Yeah,
like they're able to do it. Like just fucking do it, you know? Like they're going on like some crazy ass fucking trips and shit.
What about you, AJ? What's your take?
I'm like with you guys, so I'm not gonna touch it or.
Yeah, because that's the thing is meth was legal today.
I don't think any of my close like people I care about will touch it. So, and like you said, it'll be cleaner and more controlled, maybe less fucking HIV going around and shit.
That's fentanyl and them fucking.
Yeah, because it's not stepped on, it's not cut. So okay, cool. We're all on the
It
same
just, I
page
think
there.
it just depends on how it affects the gas prices. If it affects the gas prices, like, hey, like
Ray
don't
is so
legalize
mad about gas right now.
Dude, it's frustrating, bro.
It
No,
is
I
frustrating.
was going I was going months without paying for fucking gas because I was a stay-at-home dad for a while. Once I went back to work and I realized how much you motherfuckers are paying for gas, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I threw fucking 50 at my car thinking that was gonna do something, and it didn't. It was a little bit over half, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? That shit was gone like right quick.
Dude, I drive a little 4-cylinder fuel efficient vehicle, and I was used to paying like $27 to fill up, and it's costing me like 44 now.
Oh,
And
I fucking hate that. Like, to fill up, that's your shit because it's not filling up my shit.
well, get at me. But
Oh my gosh.
but like my mom's car, she was like $108. My mom has like a 4-cylinder, pretty good on gas car too, and I'm like, my god. I asked John, he drives the big F-150. He said his is like touching
That's
like 200.
$200. Yeah, that's like $200.
And then a full tank, if he uses to commute to work, that would last him 3 days. Imagine paying $200 every fourth day to fill up. Crazy.
All right, I want all your guys' answer to this. I'm pretty sure I asked this on we probably asked this like plenty of fucking podcasts. But what was the first concert you guys went to?
It could have been, for me, it could have been like, I don't know. I always think of like, because we talked about like seeing Kendrick a few times. I remember seeing Kendrick like before he fucking blew up. So it makes me think that was one of the first ones I've been to.
You were always big on concerts. Is it a Slaughterhouse?
Maybe you went to like that Mez concert.
Maybe.
She
Like the
invited
one
us-
that was like at the Whiskey and WeHo, like it's like kind of
Dude,
small
I still,
event.
to this day, I regret not going to that shit
Yeah.
because we had an opportunity to go see him. I think it was like $50 or something like that.
Yeah, this
To
is
go
when
see-
this is when the crowd's popping when he's like Pussy and Patron.
I think he was
This is
doing
old school shit.
at the time he was doing Section 80, I think.
Yeah, that's overly
it-
dedicated.
Oh, he was doing. Oh, really?
Pussy
So he was doing
Patron?
overly
It's like-
dedicated
yeah,
at that time.
Yeah. So like that's
That
how
was
old
before.
it is.
No, so he was the headliner, but it was before he blew up. And one of our friends had an opportunity to like. She got us all like hookups to go see because their homie was the opener, and Kendrick was the headliner. And to this day, I'm fucking angry I didn't take advantage of that.
Yeah, either that or I mean I can't say I'm that big on concerts, but I know right away in the early days.
So wait,
I was big on like pay dues and rock the bells. So, but
You went
I
to a
can't
festival before you
remember. Yeah,
went to
like those
a
festivals
person's
I was
concert?
big on because I like the bang for your buck. Just seeing a bunch of fucking different people.
It's like all you could eat buffet for
Yeah,
music.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, so you knew the shit before you were like actually paying for shit.
Yeah. I mean, and I was that like you guys know me. I'm such a cheap ass. Like I remember I'd go with my brother and he was pissed because like I'd be like, bro, we gotta get there at 10 a.m. and I'm like, we gotta see the up and coming artists. I don't know who they are,
Show
but
up
like
there
I want
without
to.
a fucking camelback and shit, just fucking dehydrate and shit all day.
I was good on. I mean, fuck. I just kept drinking. I didn't care. I was big on that, like taking full advantage of like from start to night. Like now I can't see myself doing that for shit, of course. But
Oh fuck no.
yeah, it was fun. So I was big on that.
What about you, AJ?
That's good times.
I think Powerhouse, like in high school, that Power 106 concert.
That's pretty sick.
Wiz Khalifa was the headliner, so that was pretty dope.
I like Wiz. Wiz is dope.
That was my first one. And since then, I've gone to quite a few. And I'm proud. I've never been to a festival, and I kind of do want to go.
That does sound cool, yeah. You know what? We should all go
we
to
should
a
all
fucking
just fucking
rave.
go, huh? Fuck it,
No, we
right?
should all go to a rave, though, and get stupid high and
No,
cause
I-
fights.
You know what? Call me lame. No, I got the fucking lame hard iced tea, but I'll take it.
It's called Twisted Tea. Have some respect.
I went. I don't know, y'all. Okay, first, before I sound dumb, y'all ever been to rave?
No.
No, so my brother's been going the last like 2-3 years, and he just tells me like, dude, it's life changing. I guess apparently to him, is what he tells me. I've never been to one though.
I'm pissed because the one. Well, you guys know me. I'm not a big fucking weed guy. I fucking hate getting high. The one time I went to a fucking rave, I've only been to one rave. It was like the Halloween one that they had at the Nas. I forget what it's called. I was high as fuck, and I just didn't enjoy it. But I think it was just because I was high, and like I remember the whole time thinking like this would be fucking fun if I was just drunk. Like, someone give me some alcohol. I don't know why I didn't have alcohol, but it does seem like it's like, I want to know about life changing, but it does seem like some fun shit. Like, even if you're not into the shit, like, I remember tripping out because, again, I'm such a hip hop guy. I need the lyrics. I need all that shit. I need the drums. But I was just laughing because, like, I was like, this is really how it goes. I was like, I can see where drugs is really important here.
I think it's definitely people that just listen to beats. Then.
Yeah, because like all it is like climaxes, like the beat, coming up, it drops, and everyone's getting crazy for a bit, and then it stops and slows down. That was my experience. I don't know if it's changed now, but I was like, wow, like I can see where it's cool, but like that shit all night, it got repetitive to me. But again, maybe I was just way too high for my own good. But I was like, this is just different for me. Like,
maybe
this is
you were on the wrong drug. Maybe we need to decriminalize some of these.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt.
I think Molly's a big rave drug.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm telling you, I didn't do it right because
I feel like even just drunk.
Just be
because drunk's always good.
You know when you're drunk, like you could actually jump and like not give like just fucking wild out. Like weed is more like
you're not gonna jump on weed.
Yeah, exactly. Because these raves, you're gonna jump. Like that's the goal at least. So I'm just seeing everyone jump, but I'm not really like in the mood to jump. I'm just high, chilling, and I'm like, okay, I see what y'all doing, but this ain't really for me.
Yeah. Okay,
do you have a concert, Adrian?
First concert I went to was this weird place called Funner, California. It's like right outside San Diego. I saw the cover band for Led Zeppelin called Get the Lead Out. And dude, me and the person I went with were like fucking, we were young, but everyone else there was like 65. But I really like Led Zeppelin. So it was fucking badass because they sound exactly like Led Zeppelin. But dude, the funniest thing is like you always hear like people get older, but they still stay kids. And I saw that day because like
they start acting out and
like
shit.
I liked it because like my uncle showed me Led Zeppelin and it was like cool music growing up to. But when I saw like people who have multiple grandkids fucking just start trying to grind on me, I was like, oh yeah, they're still young at heart. Like they're probably old as fuck. They order off the senior citizen discount menu. They got AARP, fucking old ass bitches. But when that
some fat pussies though, huh?
Oh, the fattest pussies, brother. The fattest fucking pussies. But once that music hits, and I think that's the weird thing about music is because like with movies or whatever or food, it's like. Yeah, okay, but like what's like a song you guys have listened to that you haven't listened to in a long time, but when it started playing, it took you right back to 8th grade or like high school or some shit like that?
You guys are playing it. It's weird because I think AJ who was playing music today, and I was fucking literally listening to it on the way to work this morning. Fucking like patiently waiting. Like I don't know, that shit just like that shit's hardcore, man. Shit. Like I'm like, why don't they make fucking rap music like this?
Dude, basically everything off of 50 Cent's album.
Yeah,
that first album
was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. What's a song you play that like gets you hyped thinking about some like old like what's an old song you like to play with once in a while?
There's all kinds, dude.
Do you know what I fuck with a lot like that? Like it gets the shit going. Like everybody's like, "Oh, what the fuck is T-Pain?" Like you play some.
Dude, I was bumping T-Pain today.
You play some T-Pain. Like T-Pain had a run. T-Pain was fucking throwing some shit out there.
Oh, dude, I was bumping with E40 and T-Pain.
Mm-hmm.
You and Dat.
I hate getting. I was listening to. I don't know because everyone was talking. I don't know why it came up. Again, you guys know me. I'm such an Eminem stan. I was fucking listening to Encore from his Encore album, but that last song is fucking badass. And I was just like, just the way he rhymes, I'm like, oh man, I was getting kind of nerdy about it, but I was like, man, like this fucker was like rhyming really good, even when he was like on his last fucking, because that was like considered his worst album. He's like, just fucking, he's talking about dumb shit, but he was like, raise about your seat, Dre's about to speak, like blaze a pound of wheat, like it rhymes really good. He's like 6 days about the week. I'm like, god damn, like this shit's fucking hard. I'm like, fuck, and he was fucking like. About to die?
And you just about to die.
Then you just clock into work and just type on your little computer.
Dude, it's funny. That was so like.
And that's just me just driving to work.
Dude, it's funny going back to that concert question. That was my first concert. It was the Eminem and Rihanna concert.
That was your first concert?
Tour?
Damn.
That was a badass.
That was my very. I think I was like 19 at the time. And it's funny because like the reason why like that's such a big like concert with me, because like we had heard the tickets were coming. It was me and Karina, and like we had just started dating, and let's say it's like March or something. Like so, we've probably been dating for a couple weeks, like 2 weeks, like 2-3 weeks, and we're like, oh shit, like Eminem and Rihanna are having a concert in August, and it's like March, and we've only been dating for like a week or two, and we're like, oh, let's go to this concert. and we booked everything. We got our tickets and everything, and we just look at each other like, fuck, is this relationship gonna last till August? Like, and we just like, it's funny because me and her to this day we laugh about some stupid shit like that. But
And now there's Mila. So yeah.
but that was
So it
the
lasted.
yeah, but that was the first concert me and her like. Well, she probably went to a concert before that, but that was my first concert watching Eminem and Rihanna.
That's a good
And
fucking concert.
watching Eminem live, like I was like, oh fuck, like because I was thinking like he's just gonna go up there and rap, like it can't be entertaining. Motherfucker, he was entertaining.
Like,
as
you
fuck.
felt the energy, bro.
Yeah. I was like, oh
Like,
shit,
as
this
soon as he was
lit.
like getting lifted off the fuck,
Because he was on the
bed
flatbed or
yeah.
whatever, like strapped to the bed, and he's
and it was
like,
already like,
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
he's
that
one
shit
of the
was tight.
like. This
Was
is
it
why,
numb?
like-
Was it numb that he was rapping to when he came out, or I forget?
Oh, I think so. One of the ones
what
with
was
the Rihanna
opening
collab.
How
song.
fucking fat did Rihanna's ass
Oh,
look
she looked good.
when you were
Hey,
19?
Rihanna was fired. That whole
Jesus
concert,
Christ.
was fire from beginning to end.
Rihanna.
Like I said, it wasn't
Rihanna
like
was good.
it wasn't like the Beyonce and Jay
'Cause
Z
I
one.
fucking love Rihanna too.
I would
Like,
do a
love Rihanna.
whole bunch of not straight shit to get at a prime Rihanna.
No, she looked. Yeah, that was pretty nice.
I mean, even pregnant. Honestly, yeah, pregnant
This-
Rihanna's
Pregnant
fucking.
Rihanna.
Again, seeing the different concerts and stuff that I've been to, the reason why that was really sick is because like what you probably saw with the Led Zeppelin thing. That's why I respect a lot of those fucking like classic rock bands and shit because they're fucking 80 and they still sound like the way they sounded.
Yeah.
Eminem is one of those too. Like he was doing shit from like he was doing Just Don't Give a Fuck and he's like 50 years old and I'm like, bruh, like he was 20 years old when this shit came out. He sounds the fucking same when he does the song. Like it's fucking cool.
Like, imagine being able to play like basketball as hard as when you're 50 as when you're 20. Like that's crazy to bring that like level of energy.
Back, yeah.
Eminem is gonna be rich forever because even if he puts out albums like now where people are like, I don't want to hear that shit. He can.
I think maybe he'll feature more now.
He can go out there live and play like that shit, and people will be entertained as
Yeah.
fuck. And dude, like I'm just telling you, like on stage, he's good. Like I don't know, he just got it.
And a lot of people, I've been watching a lot of Vlad interviews where people say like, give your top 5 favorite rappers or top 10 or whatever. And a lot of times I feel like Eminem's excluded from that list.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? That's the reason why he said I was like listening to some old jams because I was like, he's getting a lot of knock because I get it because he has a lot of corny songs and shit. I get it. So they're saying like he wouldn't do good in the verses.
He's getting kind of annoying with his like I think he got obsessed with the
Like
rapping.
technical and the
Yeah,
rapping
like,
and
he
like,
got
I was
he
saying,
got
like,
a-
the blaze like he's really
he
like,
got
he's
obsessed.
he's that times 10 now. Yeah.
No, but like the thing that he like that people that he thrives on where people were like, oh dude, what the fuck? I didn't even know Eminem was like this. Where like he now he's being featured in documentaries where he's talking about other artists and he can spit their raps back to them.
Yeah.
And he just has them memorized in his head and he's like, dude, the way you put this line together and like people are starting to appreciate that shit.
Yeah.
But like I don't think they're appreciating that in his own raps.
Yeah.
Because he's starting to get like super technical where it's like, hey, I'm gonna spit these raps that a lot of people aren't gonna be able to do, which I guess is a talent in itself. But with that talent comes him like being able to like just I guess remember or think about the crazy shit that like the overlooked raps that people spit back in the days where it's like, and he'll bring them back to the forefront in these new documentaries that are coming about rap and stuff, and it's just like people are appreciating that he's that much of a historian of the
the
of
craft,
rap, yeah.
and the rap. Yeah, I do agree though. Like, I'm as much of a stan as I am too. Like, he came out with that new Elvis song or whatever, and like his music is just not that good anymore. Like, musically, it just sounds lame because of what Ray said. He's just focused on that one shit. Like that.
I think that's what it is because everybody's like, oh, I like Slim Shady, but I don't like Eminem, and it's like I get what you're saying.
And
Because if you go back and listen to the Slim Shady LP, it's a fucking dope ass out. Even to this day, like I still don't give a fuck or I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like those songs are dope as fuck. The real Slim Shady is dope as fuck.
Yeah. But going back, like because of like I think what Adrian was saying is because of that, like if he did a verses and just took some of those songs and some songs from the Eminem show, like I was thinking about like Bitch Please You, especially the ones with the features. I was like, he has a lot of fucking bangers. Like I'm actually surprised. Like Say What You Say, like I'm like, oh, this shit's fucking hard as fuck.
But also too.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think that's why the music industry is like crazy hard is because people want you to be like the same as you were when you came up, but also way different. And how the fuck do you do that? How do you be different? How do you be different but the same but brand new?
No, there's people that are always going to try to discredit Eminem because they're going to be like, oh, because he was white, because they're trying to do the same type of thing to Jack Harlow right now. And it's like, oh, the white artists always thrive. And it might be true, but I think it does get to a point where people get tired of the white artists and it's like, Like, fuck this guy. You got to have talent or not. And he's the one that's, like, survived, like, the test of time, I guess.
Yeah.
The gauntlet, yeah. I also think sometimes, because he is really good, like you said, at really technical parts of rap or whatever. And I feel like sometimes when you're really good at a very specific thing, that usually what I've seen that makes people uncomfortable, and it does draw a lot of hate towards you. Even if you're a cool guy, even if you're a chill guy, but like usually if someone's like hyper focused in one area and they're really good at it, and they're trying to explain to people or they're whatever, people are like, oh, that guy's a fucking weirdo, or that guy's lame or whatever. But it's just like, okay, is that guy really lame? Or maybe you're just uncomfortable because you don't work that hard at something. Like there's also, you could take that with it too. Like that's what Kobe always said about, Allen Iverson always said about Kobe. He's like, yeah, like Kobe, when he flew into LA, like Kobe wanted to meet him for lunch or something. And all Kobe wanted to talk about was basketball. Oh, like in this situation, what would you do? Or like if you were playing point guard with Jerry West, like would you run the team or would he run the team? And then as soon as like lunch was over, Allen Iverson's like, man, this is a dope conversation. Like let's hit the club. And he's like, nah, I'm going to the gym. And he said like that's what made people hate Kobe, was because like
That's all.
That's all he ever cared about was like
Dude,
basketball and how do I get better.
You ever, dude? I'm telling you, I'm a stan, and this is turning into a fucking Eminem stan podcast. But
Jesus Christ,
all this fucking, I always look forward to like an Eminem interview because I want to hear like his introspective thoughts. This fucker doesn't have any because of what you just said. He's like the Kobe of it. Like his interviews are always trash because he's a man of few words. He's like, oh, you want to talk about his drug overdose and everything, and he's just like, I just rap. Like that's all the fuck he cares about. Like
it's weird. Like people will say that. Like he's one of the last of that generation where it was just like they're like recluses. Yeah. Like they just disappear for a couple years and then they come back with music.
Like the MF Dooms and.
But would you say it's better to be a recluse if you're trying to hyper focus on a very specific area?
In my opinion, I think it is because personally, like my favorite artist of all time is Kendrick, and Kendrick does that type of thing. Kendrick will disappear for a while, and then Kendrick comes out. Like people joke like, oh, Kendrick comes out like when he's needed, but like he does that. He'll take time, like because I think in an interview he said that where he needs to experience life to like kind of like for it to add to his art, like of rapping and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes for a better product. And in my opinion, I think it makes for a better product.
No, it does, because it's just like if you're trying to learn a new skill and you're trying to do all these other things, it's like, dude, if you like literally lock yourself in your room and hyper focus on like one thing, you'll be good. You'll get good at that thing, and people will appreciate you for that thing. But you're not gonna have a lot of other like time,
like to this day,
for other type of shit.
To this day, if you ask me, Kendrick hasn't missed. Every project that he's made is great.
Hey, but how do you feel? A lot of people are saying he missed on this last one.
No, I think he did. I think he did well on this one. Because I think
it's like the Drake. It's taking a while, I think, for people to.
No, you ever notice that with albums, like maybe like your first 2-3 listens, it's like okay, but you just play it at work and it's like your 5th, 6th, or you drive home from work and you're kind of like, damn, this hit.
The thing I think about this last Kendrick album, I feel like it's going to be a polarizing album because I think there's going to be people at times in their lives where they're like, this is exactly what I needed, and then there's going to be people where it's like, I was like, whatever. Because like when I listened to it, I was like, you know what? There was a lot of songs on this where it was like, I could self-reflect on my own life and be like, that, like some of the words he was saying, like touch me like that, where it's like, oh, this is gonna hit me like forever.
And musically, it was good. It was different, but like that's exactly what I like in music. I like something different. I don't want to hear the fucking same all the.
So you're one of those people like people are like, oh, I miss this old person, like because like I think Kanye made some shit like that where he's like, I miss the old Kanye. Yeah. Because like the reason
he's
why
absolutely crazy. Yeah.
But the reason why he made that was because people fell in love with like the soul samples and stuff, and thought Kanye was always going to be like that. But the thing is, like, these guys think
they evolve, and
these guys think different. Like, you know, like they evolve. They hear new shit where it's like, oh, I can add this to my music. It's not always going to be the same.
Also,
that's the hard part of the artist. The artist, there's part of it where they want to please the consumer, but at the same time, they're like, you don't want to be in the same space, you know?
No, it's also weird too because I have watched some interviews with some artists. And just I understand why people could choose to be recluses because information is power, and the less information you reveal, the less it could be used against you or taken out of context. Yeah. So like when you are like Eminem, like a man of few words, you just say what you mean, and you kind of like get like do your job and get the fuck out. Like I was watching an old interview with a Chameleonaire, or was it Chameleonaire? No, I think it was Akon. He said like Eminem changed the way like he thought about music. Because Akon would just like, yeah, you know, it's old school. We just roll up to the studio. There's girls, there's cigars, there's whiskey, there's weed. you just like hang out and you just like take a few hours off riding, and then you might take a nap. You might wake up and start the mic and do some stuff. He's like, Eminem is like from 8 to
9
4.
to 5. Yeah.
He's like, and as soon as the hour, he could be right in the middle of a good verse. He'll just close his little book and be like, I'm going home. It's like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, like this is about consistency, and you got to learn how to cut this off, because what are we gonna do? Stay here till 4 a.m? Like I got kids. And then he's like, holy shit, like he actually treats this like a job, not just like we're just gonna like kind of hang out.
Yeah, and then that's when you know, like, it's not about like. I love it when it's obviously not about the money. Like I thought about Aziz Ansari when he had a stand up. It was funny. Like he said he hung out with Frank Ocean, because Frank Ocean's one of those fucking artists that we're talking about, like a recluse.
Oh, he's
just comes out.
definitely-
He's
yeah.
definitely one of those. And he's like Frank. He's bumped into him at a party. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, in my opinion, I also feel he's one of the in my like favorite artists. He's one of those guys that hasn't missed either.
Yeah,
I
he
feel like
doesn't
everything.
miss.
I feel like everything he's put out is good.
Yeah. So like, I guess he bumped into him at a party. I love Aziz in his stand up. It's funny. He was just like, "Hey Frank, like, tell me, how do you do it, man? Like, you don't get much press. Like, you know, you're not all over the news. You're just like, you just come out, do your music, and then just disappear." And then Frank Ocean said, like, his one little piece of advice was like, he's like, "Look, Aziz, you just got to be willing to make less money." Because he's like, you know, you don't do the interviews, you don't make no money. He's like, but that's what you got to be willing to do.
All the press runs.
Yeah.
Like they're even saying, like, have you guys seen that movie Hustle with Adam Sandler?
Oh, I still haven't seen it yet.
That movie is fucking great. I kept hearing everyone
That's a
at
pretty
work
good movie.
talk about how good it was or whatever. But I like how it gave you, because I thought it was going to be just a basketball movie, but it gives you like the business behind basketball and like how hard scouts work, and they got to fly to different countries and be like, this guy from Germany or this guy from, spoiler
Yeah,
alert,
that was
whatever.
cool. Wait, but real quick, do you guys think it was a great movie, for real?
I haven't
I
seen
saw
it
it.
yet.
I didn't think it was great.
No, I thought it was a good movie, not because like I'm judging like, okay, just like
You just
like
didn't
we
know
could
that
dissect it.
backstory?
We could dissect it for different reasons. Like I love stuff that talks about business or like how money is made, and
You just
like
didn't know about the business of basketball.
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Like
get-
we
you
talk
get
about
that
this. Like
area.
okay, so it's the 76ers. That's what the movie's based on, the franchise, and then you just assume, oh, you work for the Sixers. Everyone drives a Rolls Royce. Every scout, every whatever.
Yeah,
but it kind of
that's
shows
true.
you that polarity
There's
and like
levels. There's
yeah,
levels to
some
this?
scouts are driving Hyundais and Hondas,
Yeah.
and some
Yeah, 'cause
scouts are driving Maseratis.
Adam
and-
Sandler was driving like a fucking piece of shit car.
yeah, and some stay in 5-star hotels, and some are like, "Oh, are you gonna cover my dinner? Because I don't know if I could fucking afford this."
Yeah.
It kind of, but like to the average person like me, if you say like, "Oh yeah, I work for the Lakers," I'm gonna be like, "Oh well, you never have to worry about money again." But I think that movie showed that money gets cut different ways when you're talking about different organizations, and specifically with sports. So you talk about big cap markets like Los Angeles, New York teams. Because my God, or like, you know, Green Bay has a diehard fan base. But when you start talking about like, well, what football team like gets like no love? Like the Browns suck, but they get so much love. I'm trying to think of like an NFL team that.
Dude, it's
doesn't
funny.
get a
People
whole
try
lot
to
of
do
love.
that where it's like, oh, let's see what NFL team like doesn't get love, but in America here, like every team's gonna sell at least for like a couple bill.
I would agree with you. Okay, what about what basketball team gets not a lot of love?
I was gonna say the Milwaukee Bucks, but now they're up there because they were the recently sold to new owners.
What about the Magic? I feel like no one gives a fuck
I
about
was
the
gonna say
Magic.
maybe the Magic. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I feel like I'm fucking diverging, but because I was trying to piggyback off of like the Hustle movie. I trip out like on how much of a facade all this fame, movie, sports, rap, all this shit is. Because I was listening to, now that I have a son named Onyx, I was listening to an Onyx interview, the rap group.
They're
and
talking about the rap industry.
yeah,
or
they
the
were
hip-hop
talking.
industry.
Yeah, they were talking. You ever see? You seen that with?
I've seen
Math Hoffa or whatever.
Not exactly what you're talking. Actually, maybe it is, but
They
I've
have
seen-
like a barbershop podcast.
But I've seen like now that there's a lot of podcasts with a lot of these dudes that are involved in hip hop, like they are being a lot more open about like the deals.
Yeah,
and
pretty
stuff.
much like they don't make fucking money.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Like,
no,
for the best
like,
thing-
so-
That's one thing is like if you heard a guy on a radio, you think in your little head,
Like, yeah.
oh, he has 6 houses and all these
Yeah,
things, and you're like, dude, they paid me $30,000 for that
Yeah,
in
hey, but
2002.
You know what's crazy though is like I didn't get to like, so I'm not getting it from those like people, like the people that were getting deals back in like the 90s or in 2000s. The person that I got the most information from, like as far as the way the hip hop industry works, was Russ. Like Russ did
he does a lot of
Russ did an interview with the Breakfast Club, and he was just talking about the way he looked at it. And he was like, dude, I looked at previous deals, like the way it is like they treat it like a loan. So he's like, why wouldn't I just take a loan from a bank? Like, what's the difference from there? Because he said the way you get paid in the music industry is exactly like a loan, but it's worse because they add like a bunch of interest to it.
It's
So
compounded interest.
So
yeah.
they'll give you like, let's say like you get a deal and they're like, oh, here's 100,000, but like your album's supposed to make this much.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't make that much, and the reason is like you're like, dude, you're just starting out. It may not make that much.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna owe them that money. So he's like, the way you look at it is a loan. Like they're giving you this 100,000, but it's like, if you don't make this much money, if your album doesn't make this much money, you owe them this much money. So it's like you better hang on to that money because you're gonna have to give that back to them. So he's like, the way Russ did it, because Russ is like the way he describes it is he's completely independent. He went to a bank and got the same type of loan from them. He was like, hey, you guys are gonna give me a loan. Like the percentage of the interest is less.
It's fixed. Yeah.
Is less than what a record company would give you. Plus, like, Russ is like, dude, I'm successful. I can do all this shit. Like, I'm gonna make like so much more off of this shit. Like, I just pay the bank their small percentages that they want. He's like, I even like overpaid them in some cases, and it's like, oh, they're willing to give me more money if I ask for more money. And it's like, you know, now I'm making money, so it's easier to pay them back. He's like, the way we look at the industry is like, it's kind of like a trap. They give you all this money and tell you like, hey, if your record doesn't sell this much, then you owe us this much. And usually your first record isn't going to sell as much as they project. So you're going to owe them a higher percentage, and they're willing to give you more money. But every time they give you more money, people think it's like, oh, I'm getting paid, but it's not. You got to look at that as a loan because you got to pay that shit back. So
yeah, it's like buying a home. You don't own it till the fucking deed is it's handed to you.
He's saying that's the issue with a lot of these young rappers is they keep getting they're getting a lot of money to them, but it's money that they have to pay back.
Yeah, when you get a 22,
and we don't look at it. We don't look at it.
We don't
like
see
that.
that as
so again, that's why I like Hustle, because not because like the sports
They kinda
scenes are
show
so
the
good,
the
but
background
I
of it.
love like the business that they kind of
Yeah.
discuss about it. So that's why I really like the movie.
The one thing I wanted to say that just made me laugh, and I just thought was crazy to hear, like from a pretty especially in the '90s, they're a pretty big rap group. Was one of the guys was saying, because they got into cutting hair, so they were just like big time like barbers like in New York or whatever. So he was like, their first record deal, he was like, yeah, it was cool, it made us some money because they were like a 4-man group, so you also got to split the money 4 ways and a manager or 5 ways or whatever. And he was like, the thing that tripped me out that just made me laugh was like, he was like, I made more money, he's like, as a barber than I did in my first record deal. And I don't know, to me that was just like,
and see, that's
mind-boggling.
the thing that you would say that, and it sounds fake, but when you break down the money, you're like, oh, it actually makes sense, and it sounds like bullshit, but it's true.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's because that industry, they're selling you on the fame more so than like
Like, yeah, you're
the
about
wealth.
to blow up.
the equity, the wealth, the
Yeah.
money that you're making. Like
I just think it's cool that we're talking about, because I don't know, man. I really do hate this world we live in where that shit's so fake and people think like, oh, that person is rich because they got some Gucci sandals. I don't know. It bothers me.
No, I got you. All right, how much time we got right now?
An hour and your laptop's gonna die at 2%. It's at 2%.
All right, got you. We'll end this with one more question. What's one piece of advice you wish a young you had growing up? So if you give yourself a piece of advice, I'll go first. If I could go back in time, I would tell myself that time is the most important commodity we all have as people, and like if you want to fucking spend time on like YouTube or whatever, like you could waste a lot of time. But if you take that same amount of time and you put it to something useful, you could make a lot of fucking money.
I guess mine is around like the same realm. I guess like I would kind of tell myself that developing like a vocational type skill or anything like that isn't bad. Like
Being a plumber. Yeah.
Go to a vocational school, get like an electrician type license, or working with like a mechanic, working with cars, like that. Like the stuff that I thought at that time was simple. And like, because I guess it was fed into my head that like, oh, college was the shit. Like, you got to go to college. Like, that's the only way to be successful.
That's a good one.
For me, it would be like the vocational stuff. Like, look into like a skill type of like that. Like, or there's something simple like detailing, even like mowing lawn, like creating your own business, like that type of thing. I wish I had that information a lot earlier than I do now.
I like that.
It was that shit.
Okay. Advice to my younger self. You know what? As a guy, I'm blessed enough where I do make more money than I did before. So my advice is really like just financial education, because I'm still like, you know, paycheck to paycheck. Shit's still fucking hard out here. I understand inflation and shit, but I think if I had a lot more financial education, I'd be in a much better place.
Do you know what's crazy is
I got
I feel kind of bad for, like, not feel bad for our generation, but our generation, like, we're experiencing a different kind of level of debt. Because like I thought I was in a really, really bad level of debt, and I was explaining it to one of our friends, and he was like, "Dude, what the fuck? Like, that's not even bad. That's good." Like, because I was like, "Dude, I got this much, like, hundreds, like, left to pay off school." And he's like, "Dude, what the fuck? That's good." Like, he's like, "I don't think I'm ever gonna pay off school." And I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, okay, it made me feel like, cause like I have like a self-conscious tick where I'm like, "Fuck, man, I still live at fucking home." Like, basically, like all this stuff. Like, I have a family and I'm living like in a place where that's not my own. And I have I have like a self-conscious tick about that. And then when I was explaining it to our friend, and he told me that, I was like, "Fuck!" It changed my mind a little bit. Like, he made me feel a little bit better. He's like, "Dude, don't be down on yourself. Like, you're doing a fucking good job. Like, you're paying off your shit." And I started, like, that's what made me feel a little bit better. Like, it kind of sucked that I had to go to somebody, like, who was in a worse position than myself, but I guess it made me feel a little bit better.
All right, and before this laptop dies, AJ, piece of advice you'd give to yourself, a younger you.
Buy Bitcoin.
That's
a good
that's
one.
the best one.
That is
Dude,
the
hey,
best
did
one.
you guys hear
My
that
big-
story about the guy that, like, put all that
We got to
Bitcoin?
wrap this up.